Hello, BookTube. It's been a little bit. Had some issues around where I live where my furnace kept going out. I mentioned it in a previous video. Well, it kept going out. And my landlord decided that instead of replacing the 20-year-old furnace, which they called new and I called old, to just jerry rig that multiple times. So it kept getting hot. And then I got migraines. So yeah, it's been a little bit, but I'm back at it. Okay, so for this, I want to talk about the Book of Fallen Leaves. And first, I want to say thanks to NetGalley and Orbit for providing me with a review copy. And this is a debut novel, and so it's special because the debut is your first impression, right? The debut is a fresh voice. This is your debut. This is your chance to make a statement, um, to kind of sell yourself to the audience. You're brand new, right? So I'm always excited for debuts. And I don't give star ratings. I think that that's a weird thing. I've always felt uncomfortable giving. It seems like star ratings to me, it seems to be reductive, but beyond being reductive, it also seems similar to grades. They don't really measure anything. Like we've known for like 60, 70 years, grades don't really mean anything. On top of that, there's grade inflation, where students think anything less than an A is like an F. Same with books, right? In a sort of an objective review sense, if stars meant anything, it would be like five is exceptional. Like five is absolutely, it just blows you out of the water. So you'd give maybe like 1% of books that. 5 to 1%, right? Then you've got great books. That's a 4. And like 70 to 80% are going to be like 3 and below, right? But obviously, that's not how it is. Obviously, if you saw a book and it was like a low 3, I shouldn't speak for you, a lot of people. If they see a book as a low 3, they're like, I'm not going to do that. So I don't like giving star ratings. I like just telling you about the book and go from there. To start off with, the Book of Fallen Leaves, it was pitched as Shogun meets Game of Thrones. Okay, this isn't the author's fault, probably, but can we stop? Please, can we stop comparing every fantasy book that has politics in it to Game of Thrones? Can we please stop? It's old, it's worn out, and George did it so well, you're setting up an unrealistic standard. Please stop comparing every book to X meets Game of Thrones. I mean, in the last 20 to 30 years, the number of times I've had to roll my eyes because it's X, it's blah meets Game of Thrones. Stop. As for the Shogun element, I didn't see it. So, right off the bat, not good. But that's probably not the author's fault. That's probably some dipshit marketer that's like, Game of Thrones and Shogun, those are big. Which also is weird too, right? That they would compare it to, because when you're told to pitch a book to a major publisher, the common thing that they say is pick books that are relatively like the last 5 years or so. The last Game of Thrones book, the main entry, was 2011. And Shogun was in the early 70s. That's what I like to call a long time ago. So that's a little bit of a, like, but if you're a writer and you want to go with a traditional publisher, that's what they'll say. Pick comp titles that are within like the last 5 to 10 years. Game of Thrones is not within the last 5 to 10 years, and Shogun is decidedly not within the last 5 to 10 years. So why they give that advice is beyond me, because they violate it all the time. Again, that's not on the author, probably, right? I mean, I don't know what behind the scenes is, but so off the bat, the marketing is strange, and it gets under my skin. My third complaint is this feels like a setup book. This is probably a trilogy. We've always got to have series now, right? We can't just have a standalone anymore. Which, okay, all right. This feels like a setup book. However, I'm going to give it some praise. This is not a dreadful setup book like The Blade itself, which is an awful, awful book. If I had read The Blade itself when it came out, waiting for the next one, I would have gotten the other two. It was only because people had said books 2 and 3 are great that I soldiered through. I don't DNF. I damn near DNF The Blade itself because it was so fucking boring. And nothing happens. There's character development. Not that much. Not that much. So I would give if I had to give a star rating, which I don't, but if you force me to give a star rating to the First Law trilogy, Blade itself would get a -100. I'm sorry, I'm going in the negative. But then, before they are hanged, in the Last Argument of Kings, damn near 5 stars, in my opinion. I mean, at least in the high 4 point somethings. Why The Blade itself? It spins its wheels and again and again and again, and it's like, ugh, God, it's like 500 pages of this shit. The Book of Fallen Leaves feels like this, except it's better. It feels like a setup book. But things happen. There is plot. There is, right? And this is probably a me thing. It felt like throughout the whole book, it felt like, this is probably a me thing, and I do not want to be hard on a debut, because, I mean, it's rough out there, right? I know, it's rough out there. But to me, it never clicked. I never connected with it. Now, I will read further entries, definitely, because I'm going to chalk this up to a kind of a Blade itself situation, except I want to emphasize this is better. This is not just a setup book, but it felt like a setup book, where The Blade itself was purely a setup book, and a bloated mess setup book that could have been a novella at best. This needed an editor, though, because it felt so much like the book was spinning its wheels, and it's like, what's going on? The dialogue felt clunky. It felt... However, and this is where I had to kind of sit on this review for a bit, because I shouldn't want a book to be what I want it to be. I should be what it is. I should evaluate it for what it's trying to do, not for what I want it to be. But there were moments of brilliant moments where the author tapped into Eastern philosophy and Eastern religious traditions masterfully well, to the point where if you know about Zen rituals, Zen, on how somebody goes about, or at least did, go about getting Zen training, if you know that, you're going to really connect with a certain chapter, right? It's really well done. There are Taoist themes, there are Zen themes, there's kind of a sprinkling of Hinduism. And I wish the author had really leaned into that. I could see a little bit of like the Bhagavad Gita influence. And I loved that. Unfortunately, for me, the characters didn't connect to them. I found myself glazing over. The politics, I found myself glazing over. And even, the middle and the end, I couldn't help think this book is still kind of spinning its wheels. It's just we're in place. We're not, and things happen, right? Like this is not the Blade itself, where nothing happens. Where nothing happens. I can't emphasize that enough. This is not a piece of shit like the Blade itself. There's actually a plot here. But I don't know. So would I recommend this? Yes. But ignore the Shogun and the Game of Thrones. I don't know where someone got that from. That baffled me, right? And understand that this is a debut, so it's going to be a little bit rough around the edges. It should have been edited more. Not on a line level, on a trim level, right? Like, it was way too long, in my opinion. Especially like the first 40%. It was just like I'm gonna be real here. I wouldn't have finished it if it wasn't for. I wasn't gonna, do a NetGalley review. And if it wasn't a debut, it's a debut, so I feel like I owe it. And NetGalley and Orbit was kind enough to give me a copy. That's my review. That's what I got. Your mileage may vary. You may love it. I thought it was okay. It was fine. It was enough where when the second book drops, I'm going to be interested. And I hope, because this is it's so refreshing to see. It's so refreshing to see non-European fantasy now, because for so long that's what was dominant. And to see this very unapologetic feudal Japan, typesetting, right, is great. Absolutely great. I want to see more of it. And I really do, I hope that books 2, 3, and please keep it in a trilogy. we don't need another long series. But however long, I hope the books get better. So my rating at the end of the day is it's okay. It's a decent book. And I've got my fingers crossed for this author because I can see the potential. The writing is very good. The writing is really, really good on a line level. The dialogue needs work. He needs to trim stuff down. The world building is all right, I guess. So I didn't mean this to come across as harsh. This book is by no means bad, but go into it expecting a kind of setup book, and hopefully in subsequent books the author raises the game, because I think if they raise the game, this could be something really, really good. That's what I got for you. Stay safe out there. It's wild times. And until next time, peace.